Chocula!
Chocula and Blueberry were born into unfortunate circumstances. Their previous owner, overwhelmed with too many animals and not enough resources, saw them as burdens rather than living beings in need of care. Malnourished and skittish, the two young donkeys were left in a muddy, cramped pen with no real shelter. They had learned early on that humans meant stress and fear, as their only interactions involved rough handling and neglect. Their coats were dull, their ribs slightly visible beneath their thin frames, and their eyes held a deep wariness toward the world. When we first heard about Chocula and Blueberry, we weren't looking to add to our herd. Our small farm already had its fair share of animals, but something about their story struck a chord. The rescue organization warned us that these donkeys had never experienced kindness and that gaining their trust would take time. Still, we felt compelled to help. The day we arrived to pick them up, they huddled together in a corner, trembling, their ears pinned back in apprehension. It was heartbreaking, but we knew we had to take them in. The trailer ride home was filled with nervous brays and occasional stomps. It was clear they had never been transported before, and every bump in the road sent them into a fresh panic. When we finally arrived at our farm, we opened the trailer, expecting them to bolt out. Instead, they hesitated, unsure of whether this new place would be any better than the last. It was in that moment that we made a silent promise to them. We would give them the love and security they had never known. The first few weeks with Chocula and Blueberry were challenging. They were wary of us, keeping their distance whenever we approached. If we moved too quickly, they would flinch or run to the farthest corner of the paddock. Treats were ignored, and any attempt at physical contact was met with distrust. They had spent so long living in fear that they had no concept of kindness. But we refused to give up. We started by simply being present. Every morning, we sat outside their enclosure, talking softly to them while avoiding direct eye contact, something prey animals often find intimidating. Slowly, they grew accustomed to our voices. After a few weeks, Blueberry, the slightly bolder of the two, started inching closer, his curiosity winning over his fear. Chocula, however, remained hesitant, his deep brown eyes filled with skepticism. The breakthrough came one rainy evening when we noticed them shivering. We had built a new shelter for them, but they were too frightened to go inside. We stood at a distance, tossing hay toward the entrance. Blueberry was the first to step in, and after a few moments of hesitation, Chocula followed. That small act of trust was monumental. From that night forward, they began to see our farm not as another place of neglect, but as home. As time passed, Chocula and Blueberry started to flourish. They no longer flinched when we entered the paddock, and eventually, they began accepting treats from our hands. It was Blueberry who first allowed us to gently scratch behind his ears, and within days, Chocula, after watching his friend enjoy the attention, tentatively stepped forward to receive the same affection. That moment was filled with so much joy, it brought tears to our eyes. Their personalities began to shine. Blueberry was playful and mischievous, always finding ways to entertain himself, whether it was kicking up his heels in excitement or stealing a mouthful of hay from our horses. Chocula, on the other hand, was more reserved but incredibly sweet, forming a deep attachment to us. He would follow closely whenever we walked around the farm, as if he had finally found the safety he had been searching for all his life. It wasn't long before they bonded with the rest of our animals. The other donkeys welcomed them, and even our old farm dog Max seemed to take them under his wing. Watching them gallop freely across the fields, ears perked and tails flicking happily, was a stark contrast to the frightened creatures we had brought home months earlier. They had gone from being unwanted to being irreplaceable. Today, Chocula and Blueberry are unrecognizable from the scared donkeys they once were. They are affectionate, trusting, and full of life. Chocula, the once timid little donkey, has become a steady presence in our lives, pressing his soft muzzle against us in greeting. Blueberry, always the adventurous one, loves being the center of attention and often initiates games with the other animals. Their transformation has been nothing short of miraculous. They have also become a source of inspiration. Visitors to our farm are always drawn to them, amazed at their resilience and spirit. They have a way of making people smile, whether it's by nuzzling for treats or playfully nudging each other like brothers. Their story has even encouraged others to consider rescuing donkeys, proving that with patience and love, any animal, no matter their past, can learn to trust again. Chocula and Blueberry have changed our lives just as much as we changed theirs. They remind us daily of the power of kindness and the beauty of second chances. From being scared and unwanted to the most beloved members of our herd, they have truly found their forever home. And in return, they have given us more love than we could have ever imagined.